try and end corruption within government after being overtaken by the shocking developments in his office connected to the theft of billions of taxpayers' money, including cash in form of aid toward the reconstruction of northern Uganda. Mbabazi has insisted that he had no knowledge of the grand theft and alleged misuse of money by officials in his office. The Irish government has decided to stop all aid to Uganda after learning that up to 12 million euros had been stolen. The Prime Minister also issued an apology over the mess and announced that a mass cleanup is going to take place to eliminate the corrupt and force them to pay back what they have taken. Yesterday, 17 officials from the office of the Prime Minister were suspended over the theft, but the Permanent Secretary, Pius Bigirimana, who is the Chief Custodian of Public Funds, has been declared innocent despite some MPs suggesting that he should have been interdicted. Apart from the mass theft at the office of the Prime Minister, other cases of ghost workers in public service have also been revealed, with reports indicating that up to 70 billion shillings is stolen each year through this conduit. Today, MPs from the Greater North Parliamentary Group, which was set up to largely monitor the peace recovery and development program for northern Uganda, met at Parliament to discuss the situation at the Prime Minister's office, making several resolutions which were then communicated to Parliament during the plenary. So tonight we ask, is it possible to clean up the mess, and how exactly can government achieve this? Also, what proposals are MPs from the PRDP region, that's northern Uganda, making to ensure better management of projects and other funds? Our guests tonight, Hon Henry Banyenzaki, State Minister for Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President, also Member of Parliament for Rubanda West in Kabale District. You're most welcome, Hon Banyenzaki.
Thank you, and good evening, listeners.
Also joined by Hon Stephen Ochola, Shadow Minister in charge of Special Regions, also Serere County MP. You're most welcome, Hon Ochola.
Thank you very much, listeners.
We're also joined by Hon Judith Akello, Franka, Shadow Minister for Education and Sports, also Akello District Woman MP, and Secretary General of WOPA, the Women's Parliamentary Group. You're most welcome, Hon Franka.
Thank you so much, Edmond and listeners.
Hon Banyenzaki, how serious is the Prime Minister in his declaration on the fight against graft?
Thank you very much. I think the seriousness of government to tackle or solve this problem of corruption has been demonstrated by the kind of how we have handled these matters. First of all, these investigations and this cleanup exercise is a government-generated exercise. It's self-generated exercise by the government. It's the government itself, having realized that something has gone wrong. So all these scandals that have been unasked has been unasked by us in government, and specifically in the executive. That Prime Minister's office, the investigation started from the Prime Minister's office itself, when the Permanent Secretary Pius Bigirimana blew the whistle and said something's wrong. In pension scam, same story. That is an investigation that is started from the Office of the President, and specifically the Office of the President where I sit, and specifically the President himself gave the directive for investigating that pensions when even nobody had raised that raised a finger. What's happening in education? Same story. It is the executive itself that has commissioned the investigation, and all this is an inner cleansing. But what we are discovering again is that some of this, the problem is much bigger than what we thought actually, because of the syndicate that exists. There seems to be a syndicate of corrupt technical people that goes all the way, streams all the way, comes from the ministries, it networks within the Ministry of Finance, networks within the Bank of Uganda, it networks even with the private sector in banks. So we have discovered that there is a bigger problem, and all this has been happening when the technical people, you know, the kind of roles that we have been having, to some extent, the kind of regulations favor the technical people much more than the political oversight. It gives the leverage to the technical people, like the permanent secretaries. It gives the accounting officers too much powers, much more in terms of finance, than the political leaders. So, because political leaders come in policy matters, and then these technical people come on implementation and accountability on accounting itself. Politician on oversight, on political oversight, and parliament it's oversight, scrutiny and oversight. So what we have discovered now, the syndicate that there is that kind the way you see how it is being handled, like say in Prime Minister's office, the fact that we have accepted, that we did accept and recognize that there is a problem, and we begin this investigation and begin these arrests in Prime Minister's office, in Public Service Ministry, and the way we have engaged the police with the leadership of the director of CID, Grace Akello, yes, with the supervision, of course, of the IGP Karikihura. That shows that we are committed. Except that what we are discovering now is that since we all recognize we are in this thing together with Parliament, is that really like the investigative arm needs to be more reinforced. The kind of investigation that we need, the kind of theft that have been going on is so sophisticated that it needs a sophisticated investigation and a sophisticated mechanism, sophisticated people.
All right.
So our police, we need to reinforce them there. Probably we need the Parliament needs to look, and both of us, Parliament and the executive, look into the resources. Not terms of the services are very clear, but resources. We look into resources because, you know, if you are investigating people who have siphoned 100, 200 billion shillings in just a matter of one financial year, you need to be much more sophisticated.
Right.
And if you see the network, you know, so the fact that we have come and very clearly, the president is very clear, the ministers were very clear.
Okay.
You have seen ministers, it is in this term of office that you have seen ministers resigning. It had never happened before.
And now you're Minister for Economic Management.
And these ministers, their resignation has been forced from within, internally generated.
As soon as Banyenzaki was appointed minister, things began to happen.
Of course, these things are not happening by accident, my friend. There are some people pushing them.
Well, you fail to take the credit there. You're Minister for Economic Management.
No,
you were before. Now things are moving when you're under your watch.
Thank you for. Hey, now things are happening.
In that office.
You know, one time I was with one of your fellow journalists, yes, on NTV,
yes,
Chris Obore, and he said nothing had happened. I said, Chris Obore, give me some few days,
and things are happening.
You're about to see arrests, and they're going to be massive. No,
it's happening.
I'm just 1 year in office.
All right.
You know, and this kind of scam have been happening for all this period of time. But you can see things have been happening. But of course, it's not me who have done it. It's a teamwork.
Well,
it's a teamwork of Akello. It's a teamwork of some goodwill people. It's a teamwork of,
all right,
you know.
Okay. We'll be from there. Honorable Ochola, what do you think the Prime Minister has the tools to fight graft?
You know, the tools are there. But then, one only challenge I see with the government that I would say there is no political will to fight corruption in this country. Much as my brother Hon Henry Banyenzaki is saying that almost everything which is happening now, the arrests, exposing the corrupt is coming from within the government, from the executive. To me, it's not true. It's not true. If we just look at the PRDP itself, I happen to have been among those people who sat when we were formulating the PRDP, and I remember in some meetings we had, we insisted, because when you look at the design of PRDP, more money was given to stay at the center, at the office of the Prime Minister. more money was given
To do what? To see and buy paper or what?
You know, tell you they're going to do monitoring, they're going to do this, many things, you know. They'll give you things which makes them very, very possible for the people at the center to steal these monies. But by then I was still at the district level, and we insisted that no, for any program to succeed and to benefit the people, to me, 70% of the funding of that particular program or project must go to the ground. And then the 30% is the only money you can use on administrative issues. But immediately use over 50%, 60 to 70% on administrative.
That's bad management.
And you use 30% in the actual implementation.
That's upside down.
That's upside down. You'll never register a success. And that's what happened when we were formulating the PRDP. And some of us insisted on that. And you know also another big challenge was that government was sponsoring 30% of the total funding of PRDP.
Yes.
And then 70% was left to the donors. And yet when you visit the northern Uganda, which PRDP was to benefit, and you know it's an affirmative action by them.
Yes, after the war.
Yes, it's an affirmative action, and you find that in some other districts in the greater north, you don't get most of these NGOs or the donor funding going there. Yes. So purely they're supposed to be depending on what's coming from government, because then you cannot dictate on the donor that go to district X and go to district Y.
Yes.
They have their own criteria, they choose where they want to go. So some of the districts in the greater north are not benefiting from that. So they purely are looking at what is coming from government. Yes. Now, when you look at what is coming from government, it has almost a big percentage of it has remained at the center. And when you see what has happened in the center is that people are stealing money left and right.
Do you think the Prime Minister will be able to fight this corruption?
The Prime Minister would fight this corruption if he has the political will.
You think he doesn't have the
political
will? He has the
to
in his hands.
To me, I think I still have a question mark whether he has that political will. Because then there are many things that have happened. Because let me tell you, when you go to the ground and you get to know what is happening, on the ground, their money is... By the way, as my brother Banyenzaki was saying, there is a big chain of the thieves. Right from even the district, you come to the office of the Prime Minister, you go to finance.
You go to Parliament.
Yes. No, Parliament doesn't have anything. They don't handle money. With what we are handling here, Parliament does not handle this money. They only appropriate, and that is it.
Right.
But they don't disburse any monies. But you'll find that somebody coming from the district level, at the local government level, to get the funding here, what were given when they are releasing funds is not exactly what goes to the ground. And when you want, if you question it, then you will be penalized by either Minister of Finance officials, and that thing is silent, by the way. Hon Banyenzaki, you have to go into the details and get what's happening right from the Minister of Finance. You go to the office of the Prime Minister, and you know it's only and only when you have the political will to fight this corruption
that you can get it,
that you can succeed. But once you don't have that political will, you'll never succeed. I'm giving you this one because I have tested that bit of being a political head of a district. And in my district, I said, you will not steal even a coin. And it happened. That's why you see, when you go to my district...
So it's possible to do it?
It is possible.
What isn't it?
Yes, once the political will is there. Because once the Prime Minister, for example, says, I want to see this, because you can go and visit, you can get the details. You can even employ your own spies to give you a feed, the feel of what is happening on the ground, and then you'll take an action as a political head. Once the Prime Minister said, because now we have a big challenge.
Yes.
Because right now you are seeing 10 people have been suspended.
17 so far.
About 10, 7, 10 have been suspended, and you leave the permanent secretary. There is nothing you're fighting, because then the permanent secretary is the accounting officer, and there is no way you can disburse 10 billion shillings in the office of the Prime Minister without the permanent secretary knowing. So the permanent secretary definitely knows and is part of that sagari. And if you live with him, you're spoiling. There's nothing you're doing. That's what I'm saying. There is no political will. And then that makes me even have a question mark. That maybe it's possible that the Prime Minister himself is aware of what has been happening.
Honorable Akello, in 2008, President Museveni commended Pius Bigirimana, saying he was one of the best cadres he's had. He was launching his book and attending a graduation party for him for having attained a master's degree. He said the man was clean, very, very clean. How did it all happen under his watch?
Now, that one is a question that must be answered by Honorable Banyenzaki.
That's a perspective.
But that aside,
I will answer it.
Viewers, we really have got to be a little more serious on this matter, because Mr. Pius, the person, may be a very good man, very smart, and so on. But when it comes to delivering in the office where he is now, we have already seen, following what has been happening in the office of the Prime Minister now, everything has been proven right. I have no doubt that Mr. Pius is also part of the surgery.
But the president said the man is clean.
No.
The president can have his say.
He can say
That was done.
You can't, even me, I would, Mr. Edmond,
Not now.
Can tell viewers now that Mr. Edmond is very, very clean. Very clean, white as snow.
Yes.
The same was the use of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
And then tomorrow?
Tomorrow you'll do something very
Thank you.
And
you might be hiding it now.
You can be painted very black, very bad, and so on and so forth. So the acts and the deeds that you do will determine whether you are good and you will be good forever and ever. So the rot that is currently happening in the office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Edmond, and viewers, is very unfortunate. And unfortunately, we have political bodies, political people. The Prime Minister, there are so many ministers. There are about
ministers, about
8 or 10,
8 ministers,
something like that, under the office of the Prime Minister.
With one minister.
And all those ministers are supposed to oversee. They are supposed to put close political eyes on every penny that gets, into that office. Unfortunately, I was so shocked when a member of parliament, Honorable Ogwang, the Eastern Youth MP, one time disclosed some of these rots in parliament.
When was this?
It was, I think, on 23rd of August this year.
Yes.
Just recently.
He had seen it coming.
He had seen it coming. He tabled documents
and people
with
said no.
Names of people, whose accounts had been fed with monies, Actually, they were calling these monies advances. Names of people. We have these documents.
And nobody paid a notice.
Nobody paid attention to it. And these monies were being disbursed into private accounts of people. Private accounts of individuals who are working within the office of the Prime Minister. Now, I want Edmond and viewers now to tell us whether Pius is really as clean as,
Your CID thinks it's clean.
Yeah.
No, but...
how does money, how does money leave the office of the Prime Minister into individual accounts to the tune of 15 billion Uganda shillings, okay? To individual accounts of within,
yes,
junior staff and so on and so forth.
Without the accounting
officer knowing. Because to the best of my knowledge, I know that every penny that leaves whichever office, the accounting officer must sign.
And that's the permanent secretary.
So and that's the permanent secretary. Now, you wonder why an individual in the month of actually this
because I was doing it alone.
These monies were being disbursed way back from 2010.
Yes, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And the accounting officer cannot.
But
and by then, just wonder.
Honorable Banyenzaki, you seem to have said all this. Talk to us. How can it happen?
You see,
first of all, I don't want to say that I don't want to create an impression here that my brother and my friend Pius Bigirimana has been exonerated as innocent. No, that's not true. except that the preliminary report which came by the Auditor General did not implicate him. But that doesn't mean that he will not be investigated. He is being investigated also. And
But I have a question.
as I speak now,
Yes.
one of the reasons as to why he has been still in the office now is precisely to
help with investigation.
to help his investigation and answer the queries that are going to be raised. Because if you don't, because since the report has not exonerated him,
But I have a challenge.
if you and there are queries being asked,
Yes.
he will have to. He's on the board now.
But
He's on the board.
He was actually stopping blocking police from arresting some of them.
No,
But that's a challenge. You see,
that one doesn't. On a wider picture, nobody has
The power to do that.
said that Pius is innocent. Actually, I had a case with the chairperson Public Accounts Committee on the other day when she was saying he's innocent. Me, I stood my ground and I said no.
you know,
Okay, we'll go
If
through
a person, Public Accounts Committee, do not declare somebody innocent, not until when you have done investigation.
All right.
And the report of the Auditor General is not conclusive.
This is Spectrum on Radio 1. We're going for a break. We'll be back. Do stay tuned.
Excuse me, guys. Let me through, please.
Yes. Check this guy. Goodness, dude, what are you doing? Get real.
Just move
Just what?
a little bit. Man, what are you doing bringing a cow into the sitting room? It's just for when I want milk.
Just what?
Just please move. Let it come and sit here.
So with this guy.
You cannot keep a cow in your home, but you can get the freshness of its milk straight from the farm into your home. Get fresh dairy milk for freshness straight from the farm every day. Fresh Diary, so fresh.
Ça va, hello. My name is Kogole Andemina, very serious Congolese tailor. People see me when they want to look good. People leave my shop looking like superstars of TV. But however much I make you look beautiful or even sexy like me, I cannot change the person inside, the real you. Kind of like Uganda Waraji. It has this beautiful look, but inside they have maintained the same old spirit that we know. The same old spirit we have known for many years in a new suit. New look. Oh, you need to try it.
Enjoy the new look Uganda Waraji, the same Ugandan spirit with a new look. Uganda Waraji, same spirit, new look. Excessive consumption of alcohol is harmful to your health. Not for sale to persons under 18 years. Please drink responsibly.
Everybody talking like this in the car, this in the bar. Doesn't even matter wherever you are with overload. What you really don't know is one number. You can let it so you I need to longer. Send text to all your loved ones and love. I need to longer. Get 15% extra airtime guaranteed every time you load with MTN. Simply dial *145#. Get talking all day up to midnight with MTN Overload.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back. This is Spectrum. You tuned into Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. The one graft. The Prime Minister says a cleanup begins now. Is this possible considering how endemic corruption has become in Uganda? Our guests, Hon Henry Banyenzaki, State Minister for Economic Monitoring in the Office of the President, also MP for Rubanda West in Kabale District. Honorable Judith Franka Akello, Shadow Minister for Education and Sports, also District Woman MP for Agago, and Secretary General of WOPA, the Women's Parliamentary Group. Honorable Stephen Ochola, Shadow Minister in charge of Special Regions, also Serere County MP. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion or send text messages to 7197. That is Spectrum message body. Send it to 7197. Honorable Akello, is Bijirimana really innocent? Is the accounting officer? How do those systems work? How could they have jumped over his head?
I have all the reasons to say you know, much as in law we say, unless proven guilt, I mean,
innocent until proven guilty.
Innocent, you know. I have all the reasons to believe that Pius is not innocent.
Why do you say such things?
I have all the proofs.
This man is so innocent, even blocked police from arresting officers.
So many documents were presented before Parliament, which proves that, because I have all the reasons to believe that an accounting officer, whether at ministry level or at district level or at sub-county level, we have these structures up to sub-county level. You know, they are the only principal, you know, signatories to the accounts of their respective, you know, units, and they are the only people who have, like, for the case of Bijirimana.
Yes.
He's the
Is
only
the
one.
signatures being forged?
Whatever
Yes.
you want to
No,
say.
By the way,
Signatures were being forged, but he's the only one who has the password. You know,
Is this man has the password?
Yes.
How does this system work?
Edmond.
Let's get that clarity.
Edmond.
Yes.
Edmond,
I'm
you
not
know,
saying, I want to be very clear.
Yes.
And I started it from the beginning. I don't want to say that Bijimana is innocent. No, I don't want anybody to call and say that I'm protecting Bijimana. No. Bijimana is being investigated and is being investigated, and then when if he's implicated, he will also join the others.
And get police.
And secondly,
and
Akello,
What hurts
let me talk.
Ugandans most
Yes.
is when somebody is discovered, you know, doing wrong things, including getting away with a lot of monies. You know, they will say, okay, investigations are being what? Are being carried
Give
out.
him bond
At the end of the investigations, they will be proven innocent.
No, they will not.
and
When we get members of parliament,
Edmond,
talk like this again.
first of all,
Yes.
yes, the challenge we have is
Yes.
recently,
Yes.
our government, in fact, outlawed the signature, you know, where you have to put your signature, and went for the EFT system.
The electronic funds transfer.
Yes, where the accounting officer is the only person who has a password to authorize any payments. And whether he's out of the country, he can give someone who will be caretaking an office
For that time.
for that time.
When he comes back, he
But he
changes.
gives a limit.
When he comes back, he changes.
He changes. He gives a limit of how much you can what authorize.
Maybe they stole the password.
No. There's no way they can steal the password, because then even if they did it, it's a matter of clicking, and you know that there's this transaction which took place, and you can question it. Where did this money go?
Hon Henry Banyenzaki. Yes.
Before Banyenzaki comes.
Yes.
Now, when we start imagining that the permanent secretary, who happens to be the accounting officer, did not detect this earlier on, it becomes a total lie to this.
You think he's telling a lie?
It's a lie. There is no way. There is no way of meeting it.
Even blocked the arrest of some officials in
Yes,
his office.
because he's having that power. It's still big. Because first of all, for us to have investigated that way, we should have given him a suspension. He should have gone on leave, forced leave, or even if you don't want to interdict him, you can give him a forced leave. First of all, meanwhile you do the investigation. That's when the police can enter and check on these files. Even you can go into details and look at even the computers or the transactions which have been going on, and you can find the truth about that matter. But for us to say the signature was forged, I don't know where the signatures are these days. It's outdated. We are now in the .com world, and everything is done by the password and a click of a button. No longer the signatures, as they're saying.
You see, this is where we go wrong.
Yes, let's hear it.
First of all,
Let's hear
I
it.
was listening to you.
Yeah, it's okay.
This is where we go wrong. Because he actually is talking as if he's with the authority in this matter. And this is, actually, this is not what happens.
Yes.
Yeah, I listen to you, my friend.
I'm listening.
So you see,
You speak.
for example, this kind, first of all,
But when you say that Ochola is talking like he has authority, I have authority because one, I am a member of parliament. Two, I am a citizen. Three, I am a shadow minister for northern Uganda. And that's why we are doing it. I am a shadow minister, and I'm not I am talking with that authority as a citizen of this country who is against
let me
Yes,
speak
so
to
you can go ahead.
You see, I'm actually not attacking you as such.
Go on.
But you see, it is not about the password. It's about the kind of syndicate of the corrupt mafias that have taken the system, that have grabbed the system. You see the point? First of all, the fact that we are all going up And we have said that the system is clogged up. The Prime Minister has owned up and apologized to the country. The Deputy Secretary to the Treasury, Case Makanisi, has owned up. And we are also owning up. Now, for this, my fellow members of Parliament, you see, actually what they are debating here, I would have loved to see these members of Parliament
on the floor
doing it the way I used to do it when I was still a backbencher man.
They're letting you down.
Yes. You go in Parliament, you see the point. These good points they are arguing here, hold the response for those people. Now, they let us, that's why the executive now.
You know that
Go on. You say you are this is more than Uganda.
Yes.
You see the point. When I was talking about this 30%, the implementation, you know that even this kind of corruption, actually, we are missing the point by discussing like pious Bijirman.
Yes.
The corruption goes down to the grassroots. I mean, monitoring, I know what happens. Even up to LCC level. Mr. Ochola was 20,000.
What has government done to make sure that this road is,
all this rate is being unasked by government. So this is what we are doing, and we have taken the responsibility, and we are bringing more rate.
But how sure
more rate is going to come on the surface.
And at the end of the day, you come and say, "Oh, I've discovered this."
More rate is coming on the surface. We shall go to the root of this matter, and I provided that I'm there, and provided that I'm helped, that we are helped, not only me.
And they pass behind our back and say, "Oh,
wait, Edmond.
Yes.
Provided that we also, there is cooperation from even amongst the members of Parliament, the opposition. When we are doing this, when we are doing the monitoring role is not only about me, Henry Banyenzaki, only. No, members of Parliament, it's even prescribed in the law. So we need to get the matter, to get to the root of this matter. We own up, all of us, and we bring these wrong characters to book. And then we say to the book, because for example, this Auditor General's report is going to Parliament. It's going to go to PAC. It's going to be discussed. The Auditor General reports to Parliament. He's an officer of Parliament. His report goes to the Public Accounts Committee, and the Public Accounts Committee scrutinizes that report more. And that report, you don't read it.
We have arrears.
You are letting these things pass under the water.
We have a series of public.
So we must fight. Actually, what we are talking, this fight against corruption, it's not a fight, it is a battle. We must have a battle against corruption.
The challenge I have is this.
We must have
Parliament, by the way, Parliament can do each and everything.
Yes.
It can expose, the Public Accounts Committee can expose everything about the road. But let me tell you, there is another big challenge.
Which
area? When it comes to prosecution, that is the time most of the thugs have been left out of the hook.
They'll be given court bond.
Because, leave alone the court bond, even if we kept them there, these are people who have stolen billions of money. We're talking about, in this stealing now, there's no, in the vocabulary now of the stealing in this country, there's nothing like millions. It's not billions. Now, what they do, they buy even the prosecution in such a way that when they are prosecuting, the evidence, which is the judges are left barehanded. They cannot do anything because a judge wants to see the evidence.
Yes.
Now, when these people are prosecuting, the prosecutor do not take the evidence to pin this guy such that the judges can now, because they're based on the evidence given from the prosecution for them to give the judgment. But when it comes to that time, that's the time when even the witnesses who have the evidence
contradict themselves.
You find them contradicting themselves. You find some of them. Wait first. Some of them you get some of them. You get some of them boycotting court, and the courts are left with nothing but to set these people free. That's another area which the government must strengthen. It's just something Edmond delivered.
This is why I was supplementing. I actually supplement and agree with him that it is a syndicate. I don't. You are right. I agree with you. It is a syndicate to the extent that even this kind of syndicate streams through.
Which we must fight. the same language.
Yes.
We are all agreeing. But what we want to ask government now is, what do you have on this table now as government? What commitments do you have? What political...
All right, we'll talk about that. But first of all, can you give us a land? Can you give us an idea? But let's talk about the PRDP money specifically. What are the implications of the kind of money when they steal this money? What actually happens on the ground?
Because what really we see, those of us who come from these PRDP areas, first of all, the PRDP areas we are talking about include 55 districts in this country. 55 out of how many?
Almost half of the country.
Almost half of the country. Now, this was an affirmative action for monies to be, to be put to rehabilitate people who have been in conflict and But what happens now is that donors have put their monies in this basket. Okay? Actually, in the beginning, I remember very much in the 8th Parliament, some of us were very much against this idea of donors putting their monies in the basket to pass through the office of the Prime Minister.
You wanted to pass
I remember we proposed that these monies be sent directly to the district local governments, the respective local governments. It would be easier for us. It would be easier for members of Parliament of the respective districts, the respective, other leaders at local level to monitor closely these monies. But now, the money is channeled through the office of the Prime Minister.
Let's talk about
60% remains here in Kampala. Part of the money
they need those vehicles
as lending, not only the vehicles. Talk about the advances that they give. The
allowances. The allowances these guys are getting is a lot of money.
Activities, sensitization workshops and so on and so forth.
But our time is running.
You see,
Edmond.
Our people are
Edmond, we members of Parliament cannot get off this hook.
Are you aware?
Because that money we are the one who pass it.
Northern Uganda,
we pass it in Parliament.
The rest of Uganda is
why don't you
at 25%
appropriation level?
Poverty line.
Northern Uganda?
Northern Uganda is over 50%.
Because of the one. So today you presented resolutions in the plenary. You were supposed to present. What exactly did you give?
We presented resolutions, and we were advised, we were counselled by the wise guidance of the Speaker that we move a motion, and we are going to move this motion tomorrow. And we strongly believe that one, we are going to resolve that monies that will go to PRDP to be channeled through our respective local governments.
All right, this is
Number two, that all the officers be interdicted, not selectively.
Yes.
We want everybody, whether political or technical, in the office of the Prime Minister.
You want them to go?
All of them who are really within, who are working around the monies of PRDP.
Including the political
all
heads?
All of them first. Yes.
Well, what do you have from the listeners?
Akello saying that even when the money goes to the local government, when we have not cleaned this kind of exercise.
Let's hear from the listeners.
From there.
You can call him.
For us to pin who is on the wrong. Because when you leave it at the office
Edmond, you're trying to ask about what are the implications?
Very briefly, from the listeners.
The implication that this was affirmative action, which you are now going to leave the greater north in poverty, poor roads, health care, no drugs in those hospitals. They will not have a good schools because they remain for classrooms and all those funny things which are associated to the it's a complete
and men are building hospitals, hotels so they can live in.
Yes, instead of building hospitals, health centers and classrooms for our children who are suffering in the greater north, people are using that money for building.
I'm told one man bought a building in Entebbe worth $3 million.
And the money
Bentleys in London.
They are stealing a lot
Let's hear
of
from
money.
the listeners. This is Spectrum Radio 1, our number 0414-348-111, 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. When you call it, please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Yes, your name? Good evening.
Thank you.
parliament, they are like now they want more justice.
Okay.
We want them to follow the parade.
All right. Okay. All right. Spectrum. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Oweri. Spectrum, hello, Mr. Oweri.
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name?
My name is Ronald. I'm from Ochola.
Ronald. Yes.
But I just what really bothers me is this issue of just dismissing someone and 16 have been dismissed with money. They think that maybe when somebody's left office and that's all, that's where the story ends. The other day the man goes to London and then starts his own business, but he has taken all our money, moves freely in the streets of Kampala. Why can't we have a stringent law that even when you have left office, you still demanded it return all these monies? We can even sell all that they own.
All right.
The result of the theft that has been
all right. Okay.
to clear aside for all our money.
Ronald, you made a strong point. You made a strong point. Thank you very much. Spectrum, hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, your name?
I'm called Peter.
Peter, yes.
Yeah. When you look at the different documents presented by the Honorable Members of Parliament, it obviously shows that everyone's in pain. And that is not any different from even what the Honorable Minister is also trying to push forward. I think all of us on the same page. But what I also want to know, and also ask the parliamentarians to do, is to try and do the reports for the Office of the Department of Justice. There are so many reports that have been presented. I'm reading that over probably 40 value for money audit reports have been presented for this issue. But when you look back, not even one has been discussed. Now, these reports would have definitely brought about issues of systems, and these are the systems which bring about these leakages. So maybe if they try to go back to those reports and correct those systems and hold the accountable, maybe these losses in the long run won't be there.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir, your name?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm very calling from Kampala.
Your name again?
Well, what I would like to say is that first of all, there's no need by this government to fight corruption. Actually, like, the whole people who are having corruption, not the institution. Number two, corruption, I mean what you say, the same corruption is from the right from the president is up to down, not from the LOC to up. Another thing is that I think government is trusting the CID with these big cases. You bet the political leaders here with that what they trusting them to investigate cases of billions and billions of money. Is that relevant in any way?
Okay. Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
It's David in Uganda.
David?
In fact, I want to ask Honorable Ochola. One time, but a vehicle was called for the Prime Minister. I wanted people from Northern arrested that think that money was diverted, but the Prime Minister finished. He had the money. Then too, Honorable Ochola said, if you have to find out the corruption in Uganda, you are going to use people who sit in front of the computers, like in education. Go down to the primary schools and use the teachers themselves, not the DO or the teachers.
All right. Okay, thank you, David. Spectrum, hello?
Hello.
Yes, Afine Ochola. Good evening, your name? Peter, yes? And please switch off your radio or walk away from it, Peter, then you talk to us.
My address is the Honorable Minister. You should go slow and cautious when it comes to corruption. My address is stage like a beer, and I think the corruption was just overboard. It was too much for this. After somebody is entirely free, you better be careful, go slow. Most government institutions.
Peter, what do you mean when you say he should go slow? What do you mean by that?
Because people appear to be defending, and later on it is proved that was also involved in the initial taking people from the flag. That is already being guilty. So, if you report to his position, it is really
Okay. Well, let's get back to the studio, but there's somebody who sent a text message. This is Ambassador Harold Achema, a veteran diplomat. He says, corruption by Ugandan government officials reached alarming and obscene proportions many years ago. That it took so long for Uganda's development partners to know and respond to this open secret is for me amazing and disappointing. That's Ambassador Harold Achema. Madam Akello.
But let us first see this, Peter.
All right, go on.
First of all, I have not defended anybody. In any case, I'm saying...
You actually haven't. That's
I have not defended anybody.
You haven't, yes.
And even those who are being defended, I'm saying then nobody should be defended.
You've said that very clearly.
I've been very, very clear and very consistent on this. And when we talk about this Owere saying that police is doing a good job, yes, definitely. Police is doing a good job on the directives of the executive, of course.
Right.
And police to do its a good job, and I'm telling you, I agree with him. Sometimes we may there's nobody who has powers to arrest.
Or the powers which remand us.
I don't want to discuss the individuals here because we shall lose the point. And then for all and even these who steal and go out of the country,
you should follow them.
We have Interpol. We shall get them. Peter, we are on the same page. Very good. But he's saying we should do, Parliament should do justice on the Attorney General's reports. I agree with him.
All right.
And that's why I had even pinned members of Parliament here.
They are not doing as well as they used to.
The Auditor General is an officer of Parliament. He gives the reports to Parliament for Parliament to scrutinize and take action on them. And there are so many. We need to double our efforts. For now, the political will is there. Because this investigation, this scam has been brought on board by the executive. That's the political will.
All right.
And for the CD facilitation, yes, I agree with him on the CD facilitation. And when he said about David again, we need even to go down. He is right. We need to go down. Because even down there, we are finding, and that's why I was with my friend Ochola here, that even down here, even when we say that money, if we take it to the district, because we have ghost schools there.
Yes.
We have ghost roads there.
Originated by Viola Center.
No!
Exactly.
Yeah. Ghost schools, the schools, we have a district education officer. We have, but it's
the people of
yes, no problem. I agree with you.
Okay.
Although it is a syndicate.
Yes.
I owned it from what go.
The fish begins to rot from the head.
But even from the head, if you are talking of the head, we have how many arms of government? Parliament,
Parliament,
we have executive, we have legislature.
What I just want to say that
we should not.
The listeners, I want to agree with one of the listeners who said that there is no political will in this country to fight corruption, and I want to recommend strongly to our leaders, the executive of this country, the president, politician. The political will comes right from the president. I want to just urge our president to come out and have that political will to fight corruption. Once he has said, why is it that his own let me use this word, the small brother or son,
younger brother.
No.
Which one?
Our young brother who left Uganda and went to Rwanda.
Yes.
He has fought it.
Kagame.
Yes, Kagame. Paul Kagame has fought it.
Director of
yes, he was here some few years ago. And he went and he said no corruption in Rwanda, and there is no corruption. And that's what we should also say here. The president is the first person who must come openly that there should, because the president is the appointing authority.
You think he hasn't done that?
He hasn't, because right now when he's when he's praising Bigrimana, the PS or in the office of the Prime Minister, and the next morning the that comes out. Now, whom do you blame for that? You say
Akello.
He must come out.
Basically, do you think we need a specific legislation to deal with corruption?
We need a specific legislation, and very recently I was suggesting to members only that it is not lawful. If it were possible for us within the Constitution, we would even make a law to suggest that whoever is, suspected of corruption would be shot dead.
We'll cut their heads off.
If we shot 3-4 people, if we shot the first 3 people,
even cut their heads off, we're sure they won't rise from
on the way would go.
If you fire them, they might rise from the dead. You cut their head off, bury them in different graves.
finally, before you come in,
the property of the people who have been
I want to agree with Ronald. I want to agree with one of our callers, Ronald, who has suggested very strongly that just suspending these people from office
is not good enough.
Not good enough. Yeah. We must follow and make sure that these monies are recovered. And that is the point where Ugandans will
suppose they go to the UK, what do you do?
Whatever will happen. Their properties are here.
All right.
These people get these monies, buy properties and so on.
But they might belong to their unborn children, might be registered in babies' names.
But last time
we have to go.
We need to know that
when some people
confiscate the property of the corrupt. Once we have even that law, like these Kazindas,
right.
Those mansions which they have built, would by now would have confiscated them.
Yes. But maybe he has his 6-year-old son.
This is why our parliamentarians, we need to put our heads together.
There are many 6-year children in the greater north.
We have to go. We have to go. Thank you very much, Nadia. Hon Henry Banyenzaki, State Minister for Economic Monitoring, Office of the President, also MP Rubanda West in Kabale District. He was once known as a rebel MP. Now he's in cabinet and we are seeing hells rolling in corruption. Honorable Judith Franka Akello, Shadow Minister of Education, is going to buy me dinner tonight. Honorable Judith Akello, Shadow Minister of Education and Sports, also District Woman MP for Kabale District. Honorable Stephen Ochola, Shadow Minister in charge of special regions. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host Edmond. I'm not in government. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Thank God I'm not in government. Spectrum will be back tomorrow.